Hi, this is Andre from Wrestle to the Top. And the wrestler I want to highlight today is not an American wrestler, but better known in the UK. The one I want to highlight is the Belfast Bruiser, Finlay. Let me just find him. There he is. Gonna put him in front. Yes, this is Finlay. Not as much notable in America as he is in the UK. So can we say about Finlay? Now, Finlay was born as David John Finlay Jr. on the 31st of January 1958 in Carrickfergus, Northern Ireland. He is a second-generation superstar and son of David Finlay Sr. Finlay began his wrestling career in 1974 at the age of only 16 years. Now, despite not being as well known in the States, he had a long and eventful career working throughout Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, England, Germany, France, and many more countries during the years 1974 up to 1989. On the 9th of June 1982, Finlay would win his first title under the joint promotions banner, the British Heavy Middleweight title. During that same year, he would form a tag team with Canadian wrestler Skull Murphy, and together they would win the World of Sports Tag Team Tournament. During this time, Finlay would utilize his then wife as his manager under the Native American gimmick of Princess Paula. Finlay would win a tournament to crown the new British lightweight champion, defeating Ringo Rigby in the finals. He would, however, not hold the title for long. After losing the title, Finlay would challenge Marty Jones, an accomplished English technical wrestler, and would pin him to win the World Mid-Heavyweight Championship. They would trade the title back and forth for the next 2 years, with Finlay eventually losing the title to Marty Jones. Finlay would, in the second half of the 80s, win the British heavy middleweight title against Frank Chick Cullen. In 1990, he would win the All-Stars British Heavyweight Championship. Finlay would move to work for the European promotion Catch Wrestling Association. He would still be holding the British Heavyweight Championship when he teamed with his former rival Marty Jones and would win the CWA Tag Team titles against Tony Sinclair and the Bosnian Mal Zerno. Finlay had his first experience wrestling in the United States in 1989 when he teamed up with Mark Rollerball Rocco and Skull Murphy in a dark match for Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation, defeating Al Perez, Dusty Wolf, and White Lightning Tim Horner. On the 25th of November 1995, he would win the CWA Middleweight Championship against Paul Roma, but would leave the promotion within a month to join Ted Turner's World Championship Wrestling. He would, however, return shortly and drop the title to German wrestler Franz Schumann. Finlay finally made his debut in the States under a contract for WCW in 1996 and went by the name the Belfast Bruiser. His debut was on an episode of Saturday Night when Finlay viciously attacked heel British wrestler Lord Steven Regal, and they would have a feud that would go down in wrestling as one of the hardest hitting and shoot style matches in WCW history. The feud would end when Regal finally pinned Finlay in a parking lot brawl on the 29th of April 1996. Finlay would take a hiatus after an injury and return to the European promotion Catch Wrestling Association, but would also return to WCW on the 1st of October 1997 by defeating English wrestler Dave Taylor. He would take part in the World War III Battle Royal on the 23rd of November 1997 to gain a future WCW Heavyweight Championship match, but he would lose during the match. Now, Finlay did, however, get a push during this period. He won a match against Booker T on the 4th of May 1998 to become the WCW television champion. Now, Booker T, I have him here. There he is. Now, after this, he would also feud with Chris Benoit, who he also defeated in a match against Slamboree. Chris Benoit, he's back here. Now, Finlay would finally also drop the television title back to Booker T at the Great American Bash. After this, Finlay started a feud with German wrestler Alex Wright, by which Wright claimed that Finlay kayfabe ended his father's career. They would trade wins during this feud, with Finlay picking up the final win on the WCW B-Show Thunder. He would for a final time challenge for the World Television Championship in a losing effort against the dog-faced gremlin Rick Steiner. Now, Rick Steiner, also have him here with his amateur wrestling headgear. Now, the last somewhat high point of Finlay that he would experience in WCW came at the pay-per-view Bash at the Beach, where he took part in what was called the Junkyard Invitational. This would be a match that was held in a junkyard-style setup for the WCW Hardcore Championship. Now, a large group of wrestlers took part in this match, which included Jerry Flynn, Public Enemy Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock, Nasty Boy Brian Knobbs, Hugh Morris, Mikey Whipwreck, Steven Regal, Dave Taylor, Hulk Hogan's nephew Horace Hogan, and lucha wrestlers such as Ciclope, La Parca, and Silver King, and Hack, that was better known as ECW legend The Sandman. Also have him back here with his signature kendo stick, or rather the Singapore cane. Now, this match would be panned by fans as one of the worst in the dying years of WCW. Now, that would be because it had such poor visibility in the junkyard, and it was very badly booked. Finlay would, however, emerge from this poorly lit junkyard as the winner, and was supposed to be given the new WCW Hardcore title, but was instead given a trophy due to the WCW Hardcore title's lineage that would only start later the year at the pay-per-view Mayhem. Finlay would legitimately suffer a career-threatening injury in a hardcore match on the 25th of July 1999, which almost cost him his leg. Now, this would happen when a table shattered and the shards cut deeply into his leg. They were at one point thinking of amputating it, but luckily he regained the use of his leg. He would, however, return to a final uneventful run in WCW, working with the likes of Nasty Boy Brian Knobbs, Norman Smiley, Vampiro, and Meng. When Vince McMahon finally bought out WCW in early 2001, Finlay started working as a trainer for new wrestlers, most notably Ohio Valley Wrestling graduates such as John Cena, we have him here with his green hat, and Randy Orton. Where do I have Randy? Is he here somewhere? There he is, between another Booker T and Kofi Kingston. But Finlay's training abilities would really be recognized for when he worked with the training of the WCW Divas, in which the period before that was very dormant for women's wrestling. Now, Finlay would, however, return to in-ring action on the 21st of March 2004 in a match against cruiserweight Jamie Noble, which he won at a house show in Glasgow, Scotland. He would lose a match against newcomer Heidenreich, also at a house show in Europe in Belfast in Northern Ireland on the 8th of October. Finlay was 11 days from turning 48 years old when his televised debut for the WWE came on the 20th of January 2006 on SmackDown against Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy? I have him back there, just in front of Carlito. Now, during this match, Finlay would turn heel when after the match he continued stomping on Matt Hardy's face. His most notable feud in WWE came next against rising star and powerhouse Bobby Lashley, when he cost Lashley his undefeated streak by interfering in a match between Lashley and John Bradshaw Layfield, better known as JBL, at the No Way Out pay-per-view on the 19th of February 2006. Now, Lashley, I have him here somewhere. Let me just quickly look. Now, where is Lashley? Oh, there he is, just behind IRS. And JBL, just slightly forward, with the white band around his neck, or piece of cloth, would have fit better with Mr. Perfect. I should have actually gotten him with a cowboy hat. But they would brawl against each other, and Finlay would pick up a victory over Lashley in a Money in the Bank qualifier match, which allowed Finlay to take part in the company's biggest event that year, WrestleMania 22. Later that year, Finlay would take part in the King of the Ring tournament, defeating Chris Benoit again on the 5th of May, but he would lose in the next round against his rival Bobby Lashley. Finlay would, however, get the last laugh when he helped Booker T defeat Lashley in the finals. On the 26th of May, Finlay would form an alliance, a team, or make of it what you want to. This was with midget wrestler the Little Bastard that would later be known as Hornswoggle. And Hornswoggle is right in front here, next to Finlay. Now, Hornswoggle would occasionally attack Finlay's opponents, and he would later join Booker T in his now heel character King Booker's stable, the King's Court. During this period, Finlay picked up a win against then champion Rey Mysterio in a non-title match. I have Rey Mysterio in the red mask. There he is, just in front of Demolition Axe. Now, Finlay's only title win in the WWE would come on the 14th of July 2006 on SmackDown when he defeated Bobby Lashley for the United States Championship. He would defend the title against Steven, now William Regal, but lose the title to Mr. Kennedy on the 1st of September. Mr. Kennedy, also have him there in the back with the microphone. Now, during the Armageddon pay-per-view on the 17th of December, Finlay teamed up with Booker T, now King Booker, and faced Batista and WWE Champion John Cena. Batista, I have him here. There he is. And also John Cena, we already saw him earlier. But along with Booker T, they would unfortunately lose the match. After the 2007 Royal Rumble that was won by The Undertaker, Finlay started a feud with the Boogeyman. I also have the Boogeyman. There he is, red face, black around the eyes, and so forth. At the No Way Out pay-per-view, Finlay and the now renamed Hornswoggle would wrestle a strange tag team match against Boogeyman that also had a midget wrestler that was dressed very much similar to his outfit. But Finlay and Hornswoggle would eventually pick up the win. Now, after this, at pay-per-view Armageddon 2006, Finlay would pick up an upset win over the giant Indian wrestler, the Great Khali. Khali is in the back there, between Umaga and the giant Gonzalez. Now, this was truly an upset because Khali is around 7'3". And he would pick up the win, Finlay, when Hornswoggle interfered in the match and Finlay used his weapon of choice, as we would call in Afrikaans, a knopkierie, but they call it a shillelagh, and he hit Khali in the groin. Just shows, don't matter how big you are, anybody goes down from a groin shot. Finlay, after this, would make only occasional appearances on television for the company. On the 30th of March 2008, Finlay had his final WrestleMania match in a losing effort against JBL in a Belfast Brawl match. Finlay would later end up on the WWE's rebranded ECW due to the 2008 draft, where he and Hornswoggle lost in a tag team title match against the WWE Tag Team Champions, The Miz and John Morrison, at the Night of Champions on the pay-per-view on the 29th of June. I don't have The Miz anymore, but I do have John Morrison. He is there between Umaga and CM Punk. Now, Finlay would also turn this, during this period, start a feud with the strongman and powerlifter Mark Henry. Mark Henry, there he is. And this would end with Finlay picking up a win in a Belfast Brawl match at Armageddon pay-per-view on the 14th of December 2009. Finlay also had his final televised match for WWE on SmackDown on the 4th of June 2010, where he took part in a 15-man battle royal. Finlay would be released by the company in March of 2011 after an incident where he authorized a storyline interruption of the national anthem, which created major scrutiny for him afterwards. After the release, he would spend a short time on the independent circuit, and during an event in Germany, he had the privilege of teaming up with his son, David Finlay Jr., in an Irish street fight match against British wrestlers Dan Collins and Robbie Brookside. Now, Finlay retired at the end of 2012, and would return to WWE as a backstage producer. Finlay would be praised for helping especially the women wrestlers in transitioning from booked bra and panties matches into a more respectable traditional style of wrestling. Women wrestlers that have uh, credited him for helping improving their professional wrestling abilities include Tori Wilson, we have here with the brown bra. Also, Natalia, she is down here with the pink stripe in her hair. Then we have Trish Stratus. Where is Trish? Here she's standing. Also, Becky Lynch with the red hair, very well known. Also, Bailey, just next to her. And on the other side of Becky Lynch, we also have Charlotte Flair, the daughter of Ric Flair, the greatest wrestler of all time. Woo! Now, my final thoughts. Finlay, to me, would always be remembered as a legit tough guy that was regularly used to humble rookies, but also to teach them to respect the business. He is known primarily for his brawling style, yet was also a very competent technical style wrestler. Despite mostly known for his work in North America, I would highly advise anyone to search the internet to find his earlier work in the United Kingdom on the joint promotions to see the true ability and body of work of this incredibly underrated wrestler. Finlay, I salute you as one of my personal favorites, and having truly some of the most breathtaking, brutal matches. This is Andre from Wrestle to the Top. Goodbye.